Hello, 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 and welcome to the show with Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday, and previewing and reviewing the latest shows on WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday. On YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J. And he's not just a voice in my head this week. The leader of Squaw Squad, Kaliko Yachts.
My apologies to everybody. I was too busy being a backup dancer for Becca on her world tour, and as she's contractually obligated to finish the album. So,
I believe she got.
I
I believe she
gotta
got
get my
arrested.
groove on.
Oh, continue.
Gotta get the groove on, man. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get my Kevin Federline on.
Didn't she get arrested recently?
Hey, don't believe in that paparazzi. They just want reviews.
That is
They just
true.
TMZ just wants the story. They just want click. It's clickbait.
And the American Scooter Dust, who is not with us this week. Thoughts and prayers with Scooter and his family. Um, It was a good week for Wrestling Lit as we interviewed the Queen of Hearts, Scarlett Rose, on Tuesday, and Hotshot Danny Duggan on Wednesday. Two incredible interviews, two very different interviews as well. And can't wish both of them the best. Scarlett Rose, one of our most viewed interviews in some time, and definitely up there in the most views in a day, 2 days, 3 days. So congratulations to Scarlett. This upcoming Tuesday, we have Sigma from the New England scene. We talk about that. We talk about an Achilles tendon injury, his cooking show, Lord Filbert, and driving Too Cold Scorpio to a Limitless show, meeting Mustafa Ali, and a hell of a lot more. Definitely can't recommend that one enough. And then this upcoming Wednesday, we have Lily La Pescadita Louise. Um, Up in the Chicago area. She just won the Northland, I believe it's the Northland Women's Championship. Defeated friend of the show Charlie Cruel, Charlie Pierce now, Heather Reckless. We talk about that. We talk about a match she had against her boyfriend. We talk about a podcast she did, episode that she did about her family. We talk about inspiring others, weightlifting, and so much more. For somebody that's so new in this business, you're definitely not going to want to miss it. But don't take my word for it. Here's some clips.
Randy's got a great eye for wrestling, and also he gave me a lifetime of an opportunity. I got to drive Too Cold Scorpio to and from a Limitless show, and
Awesome.
that was like the little kid in me, like squealing the whole time, being like, "I can't believe this is happening." It was incredible. I'm like, Too Cold Scorpio is telling me stories about Japan right now, and then like the ride home, we got to just riff about my character like the whole time. It was amazing. It was just like he was asking me about my character and what I'm doing, and like he gave me a lot of good advice. And I think he, without even seeing me wrestle, was like, he's like, "Man, you really hold yourself like a wrestler." And once I told him the martial arts aspect of me, his eyes went so wide, like because he's a martial artist too all that time, and he was like, "Oh!" And then he just ideas were flowing for him. He's like, "Oh, you could do this," and it was like I was holding off from just like sending my brother texts of like me squealing, just like, like I can't believe this is happening. And Randy gave me that opportunity, and I was like, dude, I thanked him like a zillion times.
So I get on Twitter and I look and I had some notifications, and of course I was scrolling down, and then all of a sudden I just see John Cena started following you. And the name John Cena had like a little check mark, and then it had his picture, and I was like, wait a minute, huh? John Cena? Nah, like this can't be true. I clicked the name. I'm like, this is probably like a fan account, you know, like how some people make like fan accounts of like their favorite wrestlers.
Right.
So I click it, and it's John Cena, and I'm just like, okay, wait a minute. Like I was like making sure, like just going like scrolling through, and I was like, okay, this is really John Cena. So I like tweeted at him and I said, hey, John Cena, like, oh my God, John Cena just followed me. And I tagged him in my tweet. And I said, John Cena, like, if this is really you know, give me some advice for a newbie pro wrestler. Like, what words do you have for me and any people who are just starting off? I'm still waiting for a response. You know, I'm hoping, like, I think I'm going to tweet him again. Maybe he hasn't seen the notification. But I tweeted him, and you know, in my head, in my own reality, this is what I think happened. I think that John Cena saw my profile somehow in the millions of profiles on Twitter. He started following me because he liked what he saw, right, with my matches and with the content. And then through me, he saw Chicago Style Wrestling, and that's how he started following Chicago Style Wrestling. That's what I think happened. I don't think it's the other way around where he followed Chicago Style Wrestling and then me. I think it was me first and then Chicago Style Wrestling.
Okay. And then our 3-year anniversary of our very first interview, we have on Tuesday, the 24th, I believe. Yeah, the 24th, we have T.Y. Jackson. And on the 25th, we have the Queen of Asia, Alexis freaking Lee, our first ever interview from Singapore. So starting the 3rd year of interviews with a bang. Alright, I believe we're done putting ourselves over. So it's a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the news. And boy, was it a newsworthy week since the last time we've been on air. Um, and it's a little hard to kind of piece everything together, honestly, to see what happened when. So let's just start off with what happened last Saturday, and that is Ricky Starks and Big Bill defeated FTR for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Kaliko, what the fuck?
Well, reigns don't last forever, obviously. So, uh, I, as bad as it was, I mean, FTR was gonna lose, and the question was to who, and it's good that they lost to a team that kind of got that. I mean, that team, even though it's relatively new, they got the rub, the rub of beating one of the best tag teams. See, that was the key, right? Like, if you want your champions to lose, you want them to lose to someone. Not only putting them over, but making that team look serious, right? So Ricky Starks and our big guy, I like to call him Big Cass for some odd reason. I still like calling him Big Cass, but they wouldn't have got taken seriously. It's kind of like what I keep telling you when people first turn heel, like, or you usually want to see that benefit immediately because that's the trade-off that you know what I'm saying. The
Right,
trade-off is for that quick benefit, and that is to me. I've always been a fan of that because if you're turning heel just to turn heel and lose, what's the point, right?
right,
Unless it's like something personal. But if you're turning heel, or like if you're doing something where you want to be taken seriously, them beating the best tag team and winning the belts is like holy shit. You might want to kind of look at these guys, right? And that also makes them look formidable from here on out because keep in mind they did something the Bucks couldn't do the last couple months, and people consider the Bucks the best tag team ever, along with FTR.
my thing about it is Ricky and Bill are singles wrestlers, and Ricky was on a singles run. You know, it has been stop and start for obvious reasons. But if you're trying to promote a guy like Ricky Starks, why are you giving him a tag title? Wouldn't it be more beneficial to give him the TNT title, the North Atlantic Eastern European All the World Championship? Put him in a feud with MJF. Why did he need a tag team championship? Especially considering how great his tag team with Hobbs was back in the day. Like, what? That's like 2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago when they should have won it.
Yeah,
But it's kind of like it's one better late than never. We'll go that route, and then two, just to me, the things that happened to him were beyond his circumstance.
right.
Right? It is not like you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
he kind of got lost in the shuffle due to things that happened beyond his control. Because I really think maybe he bought. I'm betting you he was supposed to beat CM Punk for the real quote unquote real world title, and then all that went to shit. So they're like, oh well,
Give him
you
a
got to do
belt.
something, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's where I would lean towards more towards that part of it happening, and it's good for Bill too because it's like you know what I'm saying his first world title, and
Because he
it's a
wasn't getting no
big
belt
redemption.
if it wasn't before Ricky.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't, it wouldn't, but it's also a redemption story for that guy. Because you remember, man, when he left WWE, he went through it.
He did.
He went through it, and he came through on the other side right now. So that's a huge congrats to him as far as his determination and persistence. So, I mean, it's a what the fuck, but for Ricky, it was kind of like, okay, we see why they did it, and for Bill, it's like, well, shit, redemption.
Can I play conspiracy theorist for a minute? I think the reason that they put the legitimate reason they put the titles on Bill and Starks is because FTR didn't want to put over the Bucks. Because we all know the Young Bucks are, they have the number one contender spot, and they had their little best of three, and it did seem like it was going to be the best of 82 at this point between them, which I could understand FTR not wanting to do. You had that rivalry, you put a little nice bow on it. You have the same type of rivalry scenario with what are their names? The Briscoes and DIY and a lot of other great tag teams. So why not just end it there? They're not going to. They said they have like 3 more years until they're not a tag team anymore. Why soil what they had with the Young Bucks by making it overkill? You know what I mean?
I mean, I could see it, but I could see where you're saying delay the inevitable for the end. But everybody knows they're going to fight each other 1,000 times. To me, the Bucks and FTR are AEW's version of Georgia and Alabama. It's just the basis of like who do you prefer, and those two are pretty much the tag team division. But there were so many teams that kind of got fell by the wayside because of them too. So they need to build a depth in that division because they're not going to be there forever.
Something we may have thought would be forever. Monday Night Raw, depending on when the new negotiations start for the TV rights, may not be on Monday nights anymore under Endeavor. If Raw was to leave Monday nights, how would you feel about that, Kaliko?
I don't know. Been so used to them for so long, right? On Mondays,
I mean, there was like a
it wouldn't be. It wouldn't.
there was only like a
It wouldn't
few
be Monday
times it
night.
was on Thursday.
It would be like Monday. It wouldn't. It wouldn't mean it. It would be like, what the hell? But I mean, but like they say, not everything. I mean, if the Simpsons can stay on Sunday for damn near my whole life, why can't Monday Night Raw stay on Monday? But then again, I get it because it's like that Monday night. I think it's a Monday Night Football thing, but that's only like 4 months out the year that they have to deal with that.
Right.
So it's not like overkill. Because what day would they do? Because you can. So like right now, between college and the NFL, there's literally a game on every day for the rest of this season, for the rest of the rest of the year. So what would be the benefit of moving on Monday?
And you're gonna confuse a lot of people, I think, as well. It's Monday Night Raw. It's always been Monday Night Raw. What is it gonna be? Tuesday Night Raw? Thursday Night Raw? Completely kill AEW Wednesday Night Raw
Friday Night Raw?
right after Friday Night SmackDown. Put 'em on
I know, right?
5 hours of pro
Combos.
wrestling.
I mean, basically the Wrestle Kingdom.
I don't. I guess it would be something that I would have to accept because I'm not looking to give up Monday Night Raw right now. But like
I'm not.
I just said Monday Night Raw again, and I'm not. I should say I'm not willing to give up Raw right now. So I guess whatever day it's on, I'm gonna have to watch it. So I guess that's what they're going with as well. That being said, if you believe the rumor and innuendo, Triple H has 99% control of the creative in WWE currently. And Vince McMahon is just working on the business side of WWE. Um, do you actually believe this? And if you do believe this, how long do you think it's actually going to last until Vince McMahon puts his foot down and says, "We're bringing back Suffer and Succotash"?
Well, it's. I would give it a 99.9% chance. And the reason being is because now it's two different companies and Vince is no longer in charge. So Vince has a boss that he has to report to. That one thing people kept saying, Vince is God. Well, with this Endeavor thing, he kind of gave it up because it's no longer just his pot. It's a bigger pot. It's a bigger pie, but his slice is not as big as it once was.
Right,
And I think they Endeavor understanding the tea leaves of what happened before all this even started would probably be like, yeah, it's best to keep your ass away. So I mean, and plus they can read a locker room. Everybody kind of wants Triple H anyway. So
you so you're saying that Endeavor might actually do what's best for business rather than what Vince McMahon wants?
they would have to because it's not just WWE, it's UFC now. So it's two companies in one, and what one could happen will affect the other. It's not like WWE with the pro public stock and it's just affecting their revenue. But what Vince does affects everyone's revenue now. So that's why I think it's not going to happen.
All right. Um, Randy Orton is expected to be back sooner rather than later. Um, I believe they said next month, Survivor Series. We could see the Viper back in action. Where exactly does Randy Orton fit in the scheme of things now that, his go to rivalry is no longer there?
Surprise comeback. Um, him and Cody can have a little thing. So I mean, they'll find a spot for him.
You know, my thinking is you got. I don't believe we've seen Roman and Randy in a rivalry in this current rendition of Roman. I think we were heading towards a Randy Roman rivalry before he left to get the back surgery. So drawing him in against Roman makes sense to me. A rivalry with Jey Uso wouldn't necessarily suck if they went that route, considering Jay was one of the responsible parties for injuring him in the first place.
Yeah, I mean that would further complicate the Jay Uso hurdle that Raw is going through right now,
Right.
and I think they need that, or he could go to SmackDown and deal with Jimmy, but I see, I can't see him going back straight to Roman because that kills LA Knight because it looks like LA Knight is on a collision course to Roman.
Um, I don't know, honestly. That's a the thing
I
about
think so.
the thing
He brought
about
him up. Heyman came out. Jimmy's trying to show he's the guy. Cena gives him the validation. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win, but
right.
I think it leads to it. You know what I'm saying?
If I'm being 100% honest, LA Knight doesn't necessarily need a title match right now. He's on the way up. He's not at the top right now. And I think it would be more beneficial if they kept him away from Roman, honestly, to keep his momentum going. Because having you lost to Roman Reigns, whip de doo, you're in an elite club now. It really doesn't do anything for him, if I'm being honest. He has the support already. You know what I mean?
That's true, but eventually, I mean that's gonna come to head eventually. I'm not saying is it going to happen in the next 3 months? No, but it you can make the argument he's a Royal Rumble favorite along with Jay
Okay.
to get to Roman.
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah, I got you.
So that's what I'm looking at. I'm not looking at it like within the next. I don't think it's going to happen at Survivor Series like a one-on-one. I think it's going to get to teams. Then it's going to keep Jimmy's going to keep being in the way. He's going to antagonize Roman, and then Royal Rumble comes. He could either be the challenger for the title at that point, or be in the Royal Rumble, in which he wins and he gets the title shot.
Well, I think that brings us to the thing that probably everybody is listening for, and that is the Tuesday Night War. Did you watch it? What did you prefer?
I mean, I watched it, and NXT was. I mean, I know why they did it because and that's how they should do it. But then again, let's see. Me personally, I liked NXT because it just seemed like it's slowly getting back to what NXT used to be.
Yeah,
And that to me is a win for them, right? Promoting new stars while having them mingle with the older stars and getting that rub. Tom Breaker getting that rub. Mello Hayes getting that rub. Oscar coming back. Cody announcing the Dusty Classic, which what they need because that tag team division in NXT is whoo whoo. And then you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So in terms of short term, they won in the ratings, but in the long term, they won in the fact that they were able to commingle stars that people knew with people that they're trying to get them to know.
I got you. And
And that to me been the disconnect. Because remember, NXT's biggest disconnect is not when they're in NXT, it's when they get to the damn main roster.
right. That being said, what about AEW?
AEW was good. Swerve is Swerve. Um, Tony's Tony. I mean, they got good pieces. Honestly, I think it was a good night for wrestling in general. You know what I'm saying? So I don't look at these things as a war, as a who won, who lost. I just looked at it like we all benefited because of the fact that one, everybody's eating in the wrestling business, which is really, really good. And then B, we have choice.
Right. And it's been quite some time before, well, since I've gotten excited for, just wrestling on a weekday that wasn't a PLE or something of that nature. Um, so you're right. It was definitely a good night for just wrestling in general. Don't you think everybody felt that way? And we'll get to that in a little bit. Um, but NXT did outdraw AEW. I believe it was 92,000, and AEW drew 600,000, I believe. You could get the exact numbers somewhere that isn't isn't here. Um, but at the end of the day, WWE did what they wanted to do, and that was they stacked the show in order to get the people to watch their show rather than AEW. So, in a way, you can say that they succeeded where AEW failed. Kaliko?
Well, that was the name of the game. Get more eyes on your product. And like they say, WWE got more in their war chest because they pulled Taker's ass out. You know, you know it's some shit when they pulled Taker's ass out. And then Tony Khan. Okay, Tony Khan. It doesn't matter if they couldn't get a mill. The fact that they could say, "Hey, I'll pull out Cena on your ass, Taker on your ass, Cody on your ass, Oscar on your ass." They have it in the war chest to pull it if they need to. And they thought it was a deeming to need to. Now, granted, NXT always was kind of been seen as a semi third brand, and this kind of solidified it. So, I mean, hey, man, just take the L and move on.
Well, Tony Khan did not move on. Um, he's freaking out on Twitter. He's going rampant on Twitter. I believe it started even before Tuesday, the Tuesday Night War started, with him calling Shawn Michaels a bald bastard. He brought up he took a shot at Vince McMahon, referring to his allegations. And then, like you said, after the Tuesday Night Wars ended and, the dust was settled and they lost, oh, well, they had the better show. Is Shawn Michaels the best booker? He doesn't think so. John Cena and Undertaker for the first time couldn't draw a million viewers. This is not, and it seems like the wrestling world is unanimous on this. Even AEW fans are like, dude, shut the fuck up. You lost. Just take the L. Some people says, he needs somebody to monitor him and what he's doing, because it doesn't just look bad on him, it looks bad on his company as well. No?
Yeah, because I mean, if this was Vince doing that, what would everybody say? And that's all I gotta say. If this was Vince acting in this way, what would people say? Get a fucking grip, take the L, you piece of MOL. MFer. But, I mean, but he's got a lot on his plate. I think ever since CM Punk got fired, he's bold. Honestly, I think he's a bold motherfucker. Ever since he sat there and told everybody what was up with it, and I think that was like his Vince McMahon moment, the Brett through Brett.
Well, I
So
mean, at least Vince
that's
owned
him
it.
now. He's him now. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's him. He owns it now.
I I don't know. It just seems like if you go to Reddit, you'll see a lot of fucking funny things to said about Tony Khan by AEW fans, nonetheless. Um, is Tony Khan losing a grip on his own company slash reality? Because that's kind of what it seems like from the outside looking in.
That I can't tell for sure. I just, to me, I just see it as this one time he took a bitter L and he just wanted to, do some pot shots.
How could you take the pot shot when you lost? You get to
That's
take
the
the
point.
pot shot when you win.
No, no, no. You can take pot shots when you take an L too.
But it just,
Don't mean it's valid, but you can.
I don't know. It just seems
Honestly, I'm just kind of over this ratings stuff because everybody streams. So what?
right.
Where ratings are no longer what they mean.
And that's
So
correct.
there you go.
Somebody put it most poignant on, I believe it was Reddit. Tony, it was the worst night in Tony's, it was the worst Tuesday for Tony. It was just a normal Tuesday for HBK.
Well, considering what HBK went through in his life, anything seems normal at this point. Just saying, like, just top playing etiquette right there.
I mean, if we're talking about newsworthy things to mention on both shows, then who are you? Sheeta recaptured the AEW Women's Championship. I could make the argument that she shouldn't have lost it in the first place. I understand why she lost it. And Soraya definitely shouldn't have held it as long as she actually did. So if they did one thing right, I would say that was it. Kaliko?
Yeah, but you knew she was going to lose once it was in London, right?
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things where once I saw a title change, that tells me the main title's not changing for shit. They're not shifting everything at once, right? It's like when you're turning the volume, you're not turning it from 0 to 100. It's got to go through all the little levels, and they're like, nah. It's kind of like when Uso and Cody won the belt. I was like, well, there goes Nakamura's chance. He ain't winning shit tonight.
If we could go back to Tony Khan for a minute. Um, well, actually, no. Let's go back to what happened on AEW. Um, the segment with MJF and Jay White, Juice Robinson. Juice pulled out a roll of quarters with Max's name on it. And if you know the Juice Robinson character, if you've been watching what he's been doing in the last year or so, you know that he's been hitting people with rolls of quarters for quite some time. It's not something new. Um, I'm not sure if that's been something that's been featured on AEW or not. But people took it as an anti-Semitic message from AEW.
Anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anti-Semitic. And considering what else is going on in the world, they said that it was in poor taste. Unfortunately, we do not have our resident Jewish person in the building tonight. So we cannot ask him if it was in poor taste. I will just say that it was maybe a gross oversight on AEW's part. I don't necessarily think it was as intentional as people are making it out to be. Um, but it was definitely something that they should have maybe thought about before actually doing. What say you, Kaliko?
I mean, but then again, who's going to tell them no?
Right.
Like who? You see what I'm saying? Like that's the part where AEW lacks because it's the Wild Wild West. This is where you had this thing. It's called a locker room leader. But I mean, that's you can't sit there and say that they're in poor taste, but you want them to be anti WWF. Like you can't have one without the other.
Well, AEW was called out by a TMC personality. Excuse me. Um, that said called them out for being anti-Semitic and not watching the show anymore. And Tony Khan,
TMZ,
yeah, Tony Khan.
really? Like no, we're good. You can skip TMZ. TMZ ain't got no say anything.
No, hold on. This is where it gets good. Tony Khan personally DM'd him on Twitter to bash him for his opinions on the segment and his opinion on AEW. And
I mean, he's on Twitter fingers mode. Trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers.
you could say whatever you want about Vince McMahon, of how he reacts and how he does things. Vince McMahon would have never personally singled out somebody on social media to bash them and tell them that they don't know what they're saying about his product.
Because that's Rule 101. Like, never, because when you respond to the direct person, that means that they got you, right?
Right.
That's rule number one. But I think it's just a culmination of things that Tony has been taken because he's been having to take so much defense after that CM Punk fire that he's just leaning into defending himself at all times.
Do you feel like he's alienating his crowd against him?
No, because the base is there. He's probably alienating casuals, but the base is going to be there regardless. He's got a solid base.
Well, I think that should take us over to NXT. Well, definitely a shot fired in the best way possible. Jade Cargill made an appearance on NXT TV, and we got our first look at Brian King, originally Brian Pillman Jr. He filmed an incredible promo promoting him coming into NXT. Um, where was this side of Brian Pillman in AEW? Was he not given that direction, or was he not be was he not given the ball to show this side of himself?
A little bit of both, because keep in mind he went in with a guy as a tag team, so it was kind of hard to break out of that tag team mold. Because I'm trying to think, other than Hobbs, Starks and Hobbs that broke up. I'm trying to think of any other tag teams that just blatantly broke up.
I mean, there was a few,
And
but I can't think of any.
I'm just saying, like, significant tag teams that broke up, and you can't find it. So, and even if they did break up and let him find his footing, where was he going to find his footing? Because they have these things where wins and losses matter, and you just look at that roster and you're like, where the hell was he going to find his win? Maybe Darby Allin, but I mean, where was he going to find it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Hell, Scorpio Sky was trying to find his footing. So, I mean, so it NXT is giving him that reign, and then he's already taking advantage of it. They have him in the back pocket, and they put him to use. All right, like, ho ho. And then another Jade Cargill showing.
Alright. Is there anything on the NXT show you'd like to go over? Or should we get into our last videos?
Paul Heyman looking at Braun Breaker. You might want to keep your eye on that.
Or him talking to Ava Rain.
That too.
Yeah.
So keep your eye on those two things. I think he sees Breaker as his next Lesnar.
And the last bit of news, Ric Flair did an interview, and he said he wants to have one more match. How surprised are you, Kalito?
Surprised his ass want one. Yes, very surprised. Boy, go home. Go home. Like, go and rap videos. You got so many ways to make money, homie. Just go home. For all our sakes. For just not your sake, all our sakes.
Oh my god. Yeah. The Ric Flair's last match, part 2. Will he die this time?
I feel like it's like part 38 because you got the WWE, the TNA, then this and whatever. He's starting to get to Terry Funk level with this shit.
I think the you can't
Rest his
see the
soul.
Terry Funk at this point.
True. But it's one of those things. He's been doing it so long. That's all he knows. And if you read the book, and I have the book, the book of him and Charlotte. When he retired from WWE, he's waking up with cold sweats because he's just like, I got to do it. It's really an addiction for him.
But
I mean, so in looking at that context, I could see it. But boy, go home, go home, stay home. No, not even go home, stay home.
that will conclude our coverage of the news. And now a quick word from our sponsors. So,
Rogue Energy, the only gaming drink company in the world with 4 unique product lines to suit your task at hand, whether it be juices, shakes, smoothies, and everything else in between. Their low calorie, no sugar energy formula is the perfect alternative to sugar filled canned energy drinks and sodas. Their extreme formula provides the most energy, focus, and sports performance possible. Their hydration line offers focus, ingredients without the added caffeine. Drink it anytime you're thirsty. And their shake formula is so delicious. Who doesn't love a cookies and cream, 0-calorie energy milkshake? First and foremost, they've designed every Rogue product line with performance and effectiveness in mind. It is critical that you look at the nutrition panels of drinks when comparing options. There are countless off brands out there that are presenting low quality, poorly dosed formulas that amount to expensive caffeine water. Every formula they produce is designed with optimal levels of high quality ingredients. Additionally, you won't find a powdered gaming drink brand that dissolves better. No need to have chalky textures in your drink. Their taste profiles are unmatched, specifically designed for gamers, athletes, students, entrepreneurs, people with hectic schedules, individuals with low energy, podcasters who can't shut up, people who are health conscious, and so much more. Great as both a pre-workout and as a coffee energy drink replacement. Specifically designed every Rogue product line to be the best gaming drink on the planet. Rogue energy, more focus, more wins.
use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. And we are wrestling with WWE Fastlane. It was last Saturday. It took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse, in attendance of 14,529. Just for reference, this is around the 17,000 seat arena. So they're on the higher side of a sellout than AEW's Wrestle Dream, which was 7,000 and 17,000 seat arena, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Just watched last week's episode. Um, that being said, what did you think about this show, Kaliko, as a whole?
Uh, I mean, I told you these PLEs are good. They don't they don't really miss. Like their worst ones are usually pretty solid. So I give WWE the benefit of a doubt when they're actually trying to continue a story through PLE and they don't have to worry about commercial breaks as much.
What are you talking about? They still have commercial breaks.
I know, but I'm just saying it's frequent. Because keep in mind, they were doing commercial breaks during matches. This one, they could actually kind of, commercial breaks as the promos, which is bullshit. I'm like, yo, bring back the network.
Doesn't seem like that's happening anytime soon. It's kind of odd to say, but this was only a 5 match card, and watching it, I never felt like it was maybe less than another PLE, or like I was getting shortchanged on an event. The quality was there when it came to the actual performance, I felt. That being said, this was a more than likely a two match card. And the first match, the last match, and I didn't necessarily agree with everything that happened in between. But we'll get into that when we, do the individual matches. And that brings us to the first match, and that is Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso defeating the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damian Priest, to claim the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships in 20 minutes and 40 seconds. This match, in my opinion, was WWE in 1999, where you had two faces come together. You didn't really know why they came together. It wasn't really, they didn't really have a reason to come together, but you still accepted it and still wanted to see it because they were the two biggest faces in the company coming together. And I felt like it worked. I liked the match. I liked how things were put together, and I thought it was a really solid way to start the show. What say you, Kaliko?
What do you mean you don't know why they came together? You know damn well why they came together.
What I mean is, you know, they're not a tag team. It's just putting the two biggest stars in a tag team so people pop. That's kind
No,
of what I
not
mean.
really. I think it's going to get a little bit more complicated than that
You're not wrong.
because there is a certain tag team who's looking like, oh hell no,
Jimmy
and
and Jimmy and Solo.
no, Sammy and Kevin.
Yeah, but they had the match on Monday.
That's true, but I just think it's going to get a little bit more complicated with them involved because now they have something that Kevin and Sammy want.
True.
So now this is where complication gets in because they already don't trust them. And let's say eventually Jay and Cody are gonna lose the belts. Jay might have a mistake in this. I'm just speculating. Cody is like, what the fuck, man? Thus him having to go his own way. Now, granted, it's something to keep that thing going, unless they can use that as a way to split the undisputed tag title. Because
But
eventually, it's gotta go.
on Cody's side of things, I do feel like there is more of an agenda than initially expected. Oh, yay, I'm helping Jay. Or, you know what you get when you get the tag team championships. Well, you get a ticket back onto SmackDown. Who's on
Yes,
SmackDown? Roman Reigns. What does Cody need to finish the story? The WWE Championship.
I don't think his story's with Roman though. That's what you're telling her. His story is not with Roman. His story is with Seth. Jay's story is with Roman.
But that brings us to another interesting point that Scooter brought up not too long ago. Have Jay be set for the World Heavyweight Championship, something that Roman could never do, beat Seth Rollins in a big match, and have Cody defeat Roman, and then have The Rock and Roman at Mania. As crazy as it sounded at the time when he said it, it does seem more like he was speaking it into existence the way things are playing out right now. You know what I mean?
I don't I don't see the reason I don't see that happening is because on Raw they have this big wild card, Mr. Money in the Bank, which can spoil all of this shit. So that's the only reason I don't, because that wild card is bigger. Like I see the path for Jay, Royal Rumble, Mania, boom. I see the path for Knight, Royal Rumble, Mania, boom. Cody is gonna be, it's gonna be a little bit different. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Seth, he's watching his back because Damien's gonna get kicked out. Point blank. Period. I see it coming. He's getting kicked out. It's either him getting kicked out or Finn getting kicked out. One of them are gonna have to go. And to me, I just see that Money in the Bank briefcase is a bigger play, especially with Priest and the way the Judgment Day lost the titles, all that withstanding.
Well,
So
Damien has the briefcase until July of next year. We could essentially get past WrestleMania. Whatever happens in WrestleMania season happen, and then Damien cashes in, and whoever had the championship wins the chase after Mania into SummerSlam. That could be a possibility, no?
it could, but my issue with because with the Judgment Day being on top of the world and now they are kind of dwindling, he's going to use the only thing that he can to regain what he wants, aka leadership. Because technically, there's kind of a battle for leadership in that group, and more people are going with Finn, and it seems like Damien's on the outside looking in. But what better way for Damien to be the leader than to cash in and be the champion and kick Finn out? So it's one of them two are gonna have to go.
I see what you mean, and if this was the Vince McMahon format of storytelling, you would probably be right. It's going to be sooner rather than later. But also keep in mind that Jey Uso and Roman Reigns was a story told over 3 years. So it does seem like they're taking, their good old jolly time with telling this story and letting it breathe.
Oh
And
yeah, but don't get it twisted. Uh, that little nugget of Rhea Ripley in the back talking to Drew McIntyre.
yeah,
See what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be slow, but I'm just saying one of them are gonna end up going. I don't know how soon, but it's bound to happen.
that being said, how many stars do you give Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes defeating Judgment Day for the tag team titles?
I give it 3.5 because it essentially felt like the match Sammy and Kevin had with them, minus the crazy shit, and yet somehow they won.
I give it 4 stars. Everything worked for me. I like the match. I like the crowd reaction. It made sense to me.
It makes sense.
All right, now we got a six-man tag action. We got Robert Lashley, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford Honda. Um, they took the L to Rey Mysterio, Santa Escobar, and not one of their other LWO members. Not what's their names? Senor Chavez or Juan Pablo. But
Joaquin Phoenix, or is
not
it I can't remember. One of them.
not them. Not Joaquin Phoenix. He wasn't there. Um,
Yeah.
it was, but Carlito Caribbean cool. This this match, if Cody and Jay got the guys the crowd going, this match kind of sucked the air out of the building, if I'm being honest. And then the only thing that really saved it was the pop that Carlito got. Um, but what say you?
Pretty much, but it's just I think it's more trying to get the profits into that heel mode that they used to be. It's just a build. So them taking the loss, it looks like okay, they're just trying to come as a unit and be cohesive, right? So I mean they'll bounce back.
My issues wasn't with the Profits. You know, they've been doing some decent heel work as of late. My problem maybe is that people don't necessarily want to boo the Street Profits. Or,
They can't.
and
I mean,
if I'm being honest, people don't really want to boo Bobby Lashley at this point either.
why would they? It's pretty much. I think that's like the only prominent black folks on TV. I wouldn't want to boo him either. Shit. I'm just keeping it a buck.
You know, it's just it was a really odd match, and I hate the fact that Carlito was put in this position. Basically, you know, you're Mexican, I'm Mexican. Let's be tagged together, which I always hated the WWE logic of that.
It wasn't Mexican, Latino, sir.
Oh, what?
Latino.
You're Latino.
Latin. Latin world order. Not Mexican world order.
Well, you're Latino. I'm Latino. Let's get lattes together.
I don't think that's how that works, but okay.
I don't fucking know. We are not what is it? Politically correct on this show. How many stars do you give this?
Two?
I think, and like honestly, it's kind of generous to give it out.
Damn. I can't hate on the profits. I can't hate the profits. Profits are my boy.
I like the profits too. All right, triple threat for the women's championship. Um, Io Sky. She had on that form there was a Dakota Kai with a Bailey here, with a Bailey there, Bailey everywhere. Io Sky. She defeated Asuka and Charlotte Flair to retain her championship in 17 minutes 20 seconds. Um, I don't know, but the talent in this match was bar none fantastic. The quality of the match kind of seemed like it was lacking. It felt like there was just nothing really clicked. There were unnecessary botches, and it was just magnified by the fact that it was 17 minutes. What say you?
I think it's yeah, because it was just them two. Three people that normally don't fighting, so you could tell it was kind of like a chemistry issue there. So I mean, and then you also add in language barrier issue. So chemistry issue with them not really knowing each other. The language barrier issue as far as calling the spots, and that's what you got, right? Um, Bailey trying to come to her defense, and EO starting to get tired of that shit,
Right.
and that's gonna be where does Bailey's um helpfulness is no longer helpful for that group.
It does seem like her helpfulness is maybe intentional to get the belt off of Io. And that's kind of where the rivalry is at this point. Going, I should say. Alright,
Well, we will see. We will see.
how many stars you give this?
Uh, Not their best, but a three.
I'll give it 2.5. Alright, then we got an appearance by Pat McAfee. Always good to see him. Hyping up possible WrestleMania in the city. That's ever gonna happen? Probably not. And what's led into John Cena and LA Knight defeating the Bloodline, Jimmy Uso, and Solo Sikoa with Paul Heyman in also 17 minutes and 20 seconds. What say you, Kaliko?
The perfect way for that match to go out. The right people won. Um, and it actually did what it was supposed to do. Jimmy's trying to show that he's the man and failed.
Right.
Roman's had to come. Roman coming back. It's like, what the fuck is going on while I'm gone? So that's what it was supposed to do. It was basically a reason for Roman to come back and set shit straight.
I felt like the match itself made me feel like we were back in 2010. And when it comes to WWE in 2010, I hated that shit. It was a generic John Cena tag team match, which I absolutely hate. But that being said, you're absolutely right. The right thing happened at the end. LA Knight came in, he hit the finish, he won the match. John Cena tried to put his hand up. He was like, "No, I'll raise your hand." He's got the rub. He's giving the rub to Cena essentially. And honestly, I just loved all the interactions between them and how the match ended. Um, between then and when the bell rang originally, everything that had John Cena in the match, no, hated it. Girl, it's 2010 wrestling. But everything with LA Knight, 100% right thing to do. Alright, how many stars you give this?
Four.
I give it 3.5. Simply because of the ending. Then we have our last match, the main event, the thing everybody wanted to see. Seth freaking Rollins defeating Shinsuke Nakamura in a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship in 28 minutes and 25 seconds. Your thought on the match?
Pretty violent, although this match would have been better if it was a redemption for Seth to win the belt back. But hey, can't have it all, right?
You know, aside from the fact that, I obviously really wanted Nakamura to win the match because, Nakamura never held a world championship in WWE. Logically, the match didn't make that much sense to me. Nakamura actually did have him at one point in the match when he fell off the when he threw him off the ladder into the announcing table. If you look at Seth's feet, he was not on a vertical base. His feet were not touching the ground. He was just upright. Your feet have to be on the ground for a last man standing match to matter. And that logical little hiccup on WWE's part really took me out of the match. And then the fact that he put Nakamura through two tables. He used the tables to get himself up, but Nakamura didn't. Another little hiccup that I just found somewhat irredeemable in the grand scheme of the whole match. If those two little things didn't happen, I probably would have been more okay with the match. It wasn't a bad match. It was definitely more on the unique side when it comes to last man standing. But that's kind of how I feel about it. Anything you want to add?
I mean, I get your point there. Not knocking it. So I mean, but to me, I think Seth should have been the challenger in this match. But then again, we had that botch before. Remember with the Roman KO last man standing match.
Right.
So I mean, it happened, right? So you can't say the last man standing match they had that same issue. Kind of need to fix that. Whoever produced the match, but uh, I just wish Seth had a salty injuries the next night or the next two nights over. But
Right.
I mean, that to me is where it kind of loses me. It's like you went through a war for 2 days and you're coming out like you're fresh. No, you need to show that you went through the wear and tear, that it actually like took something out of you that's
And
going to take a while to get back.
he sold the injury more on the last match that they had, but that was just like, a normal one-on-one match. But the excuse me, the match that was more brutal, that match he didn't sell at all.
That my hence my point.
Right. But, miracles do happen. Um, I do remember them popping Rey Mysterio's eye back into his head, and he's been able to see just fine since that match. So, good on him. Hey, how many stars do you give this one, Felipe?
Um, 3.5.
I'll be a little bit meaner and say three, just for the fact that those logical issues really bothered me. Alright, the show as a whole, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle.
I mean, every sans two matches, everything else was kind. I mean, sans one match, you could give it a thumbs up. So thumbs in like 3/4 ish up on the upside.
I am going. I feel like even if I give it an Orange Cassidy thumbs up, it's still maybe giving them too much. So I'm firmly on the stance that I should give this a thumbs in the middle. It was a bit of a mess for me. Alright, I believe that will conclude um, this episode. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. We're on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Pale One Coffee. Join us this Tuesday this Tuesday as we interview Sigma. Join us this Wednesday as we interview Lily La Pasquerita Louise. And follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on Twitter, well, I should say X, Instagram, and Thread. For information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Where can I find Kaliko?
I am Kaliko, and I hope TMZ doesn't release any of my videos of me auditioning as the backup dancer for Becca.
For Kaliko Yachts and Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.